Hello Internet, it's me Josh, the Aging Gamer. So, I'm continuing my Batman movie video game reviews with the next entry in the series, Batman Returns. Batman Returns saw the continuation of Michael Keaton's Batman fighting off an awesome Danny DeVito Penguin and a sexy Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. I love this movie, but oddly enough, it didn't do as well as the previous movie. The producers figured it was probably because it wasn't family friendly enough, which is why the next two movies got a bit zany. I suppose you can blame McDonald's and the PR nightmare they had for promoting kid toys for a movie that had so many gruesome deaths and violence. Now the movie came out in an awkward time because this was when everyone was transitioning from the NES to the SNES and Sega Genesis. Everyone was going from 8-bit to 16-bit. So as a result, several Batman Returns games were released and all of them were a bit different from each other. Well, let's review them in a special 3 reviews in one video. Let's start with the Sega Genesis version. So in this version, developed by Acme Interactive, the story starts off after Penguin kills the Ice Princess and frames Batman. Batman now must go through Gotham, beating up clowns, real-life gargoyles, and occasionally Penguin and Catwoman. As you can see, this is a 2D platformer. Here, Batman can jump, punch, kick, glide, use his grappling hook, and even go through his utility belt and use special weapons such as his batarangs or a barrage of bats. I was kinda hoping that this game would feel like the last Batman game I reviewed, but it doesn't. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this game is crap. First off, the hitbox for Batman is awful, as just the slightest breeze against the tip of his bat ears can hurt him. It doesn't help that so many enemy designs enable them to hurt Batman before he can even get close to them. Take Catwoman for example. When she flops around like this, she is completely invincible and there's only a slight millisecond to hit her. These motorcycle clowns are nearly impossible to hit as well. I ended up just trying to avoid enemies altogether. The levels themselves are frustrating and sometimes contain cheap traps. Take the slanted abandoned building for example. There's a part where you just drop into spikes and have only a small section to grapple hook to. In the cathedral level, it's actually the foreground that will block some of your viewing, and you might hit spikes or even drop back down a level. There's another part where you have to grapple hook up a building while being attacked, but Batman's grappling hook technique is slow enough to make sure that all the enemies can hit you. Hell, one level starts off with Penguin releasing a giant metal ball to chase Batman and you can only escape by the skin on your teeth. It's so frustrating! And it's not the challenging hard that I like, it's the crappy design hard that just hate it. As for something good about the game, it's not bad looking. Batman looks cool, Catwoman, Penguin, and all the goons look great, and the backgrounds are pretty detailed. A visual downside though is that a lot of the backgrounds are almost too dark and Batman starts to blend in. It comes off more like I'm playing a Zack Snyder Batman film. On another note, the music and sound effects sound pretty great, but they don't feel like they should be in a Batman game. Enemies shouldn't sound like lasers when they get killed. But in the end, the game just isn't fun. Batman is way too vulnerable to hits and the level designs themselves range from very basic to stupid. Overall, I just got so frustrated playing this game. It sucks. Don't play it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the NES version. So here we go, the good old NES with Batman Returns, this time developed by Konami. Rather than a 2D platformer, this game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Batman gets his typical moves in this game as well. Jump, punch, batarangs, block, sidekick, and grapple hook. The gameplay here reminds me of Double Dragon, in the means that it's a beat-em-up where you'll only see anywhere from 1 to 3 enemies at once, and all the enemies on screen will be identical. So if you're fighting one clown, get ready for a barrage of the same exact ones. Once you defeat that group, then you'll move on to a different enemy type. So already, I can tell you this game is a lot better than the Genesis version. For starters, the fighting system is decent. Unlike the Genesis version, Batman doesn't have an unfair hitbox or anything. The fighting system is fair, and it works. The levels themselves are typical beat-em-up stages where you mostly just head right. The levels are pretty detailed, and I particularly like the creepy department store level with the dolls in the background coming to life. Occasionally, the levels have some hazards like slippery ice or a slanted roof that'll make you constantly reposition Batman. There's also some secrets hidden throughout the levels that you can only find by using your grappling hook. I thought it was pretty cool having to use the grappling hook to take down these flying helicopters too. To mix up the gameplay a bit, there's 2 levels where you get to use Batman's awesome vehicles. In one level, you get to drive the Batmobile, shooting cars and watching bodies fly around. In another level, you get to drive the Bat Ski Boat. The game also does a great job with those cutscenes. Honestly, these are some of the best detailed cutscenes I've seen in an NES game. The music is pretty great in this game too. Some of it sounds like leftover music that didn't make it into Konami's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. But with all of this said, that game is just alright. In my opinion, it's definitely better than the Genesis version, but overall the game is just very repetitive, like most beat-em-ups. Even if there are a few mix-ups in gameplay here and there, the whole game is mostly fighting the same bad guys over and over and over. For a Batman NES beat-em-up, it does well for itself, but it doesn't offer anything that's gonna wow players and keep them coming back for more. Now last but not least, the Super Nintendo version. So, like how the SNES was just a super version of the NES, Batman Returns for the Super Nintendo is basically just a super version of the NES Batman Returns. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, this time more in the vein of Final Fight, and it works very well here. Batman has all his moves here, punching, kicking, gliding, batterings, you know, just like the other versions. And everything here just seems to work. The fighting mechanics are great. There's no limit on how often you can use your batarangs, the health replenishes are pretty generous, and it's just more fun because of this. I said that repetitiveness in the NES version made it feel boring, but I didn't get that feeling here, which I was surprised with. The game mixes things up quite a bit. There's typical beat-em-up stages that are followed by 2D platforming stages. You'll scale levels and use the grappling hook to get around. The game often switches back and forth between these two level types. There's occasional boss fights, and of course there's even an awesome Batmobile level. And all of this combined keeps the game feeling fresh. It's fun, and it gets even better. Overall, I feel this version best represents the movie as a whole. It follows the story more accurately, and a lot of the music here is actually from the movie, unlike the other games. This, added with the cutscenes, with quotes and stills from the movie itself, and the detailed backgrounds and scenarios, just end up resulting with the SNES version being the best, well-adapted video game version of Batman Returns. And honestly, I don't really have any negatives about the game. I mean, it's not a must-play 5-star game or anything, but it's a very solid Batman beat-em-up. So yeah, if you're gonna play any Batman Returns game, the Super Nintendo version is the one to play. It's fun, and if I were still doing my letter grades for this game, it would be a solid B+. But these are just my opinions. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and join me in my next final video of this Batman movie reviews as I take a look at Batman Forever. I thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.